give it a few minutes, and welcome everyone. I'm really pleased to have this chance to give you sort of an update on where we are with the strategic plan, and then also to give you some instructions on how to draft the strategic plan for our next meeting in September. So here's some key dates to keep in mind. I would totally love if each of the small groups could send me their draft narratives by the end of the month, but no later than September 10th, because that's going to allow me to pull together a comprehensive first draft for our face-to-face meeting in September 20th. And that's where we're going to work as a team to see all the component parts from the small groups and integrate them together into a cohesive strategic plan. And then that draft that we work on the 20th will be edited by a small group, myself included, and then polished and presented for the board's discussion on September 30th. So obviously the purpose of strategic planning is to ensure that we have a clear sense of where this organization is going and to give it some alignment. The table of contents that we're working towards here is an overall executive summary. That's the very last thing we write after the 20th. And also we have a history and background and context for what motivated this strategic plan to be written at this point in history. We have the updated mission and vision statements, and we then have each of the small groups' work delineated. So our 5 groups: Just Jewett, Whole Earth, Camp Without Borders, Place, and Financials. Then I craft from that a timeline for implementation and any other attachments that we feel would be helpful. So where we are in this process, when we met the first time, we set those strategic goal areas. We've been meeting in small groups, and now it's time to take our thinking and identify key strategic actions, next steps, before it goes to the board and the organization and board implement it. So I want to walk through pretty quickly what are the components that I'm asking you to write and help you to, see what I'm looking for in terms of the amount of detail, the length, the purpose of the writing. And then of course, I can answer any questions. You're all live, so you can unmute yourself. You're not muted right now, unless you muted yourself. Chime in with questions as we go along. I've given each of you, when we first met, a template to work from, and I sent it out in the email yesterday. But the first step for your small group is to take that bucket area that you've been given, like Just Jewett, and define what's that bucket. Give it a goal statement. Describe what's included in that bucket. How did you take components of things that are important to this organization and define it under this umbrella? And then why is it of strategic importance? For the example, I'll just make this up off the top of my head. For the Just Jewett group, it's so important because it's core to our mission and our purpose. It's the Shalom Institute sees itself as having a unique offering to the community and for the sustainability of the Jewish people. And we feel that the more we focus and strengthen in this area, the more vibrant and useful we're going to be in the community. I don't know. I just made that up. But you see how you would write just a couple of paragraphs there, maybe even just a couple of sentences. Step 2 is to talk about the current condition, your shared understanding. Yeah, go ahead. Question?
Are there slides? I'm looking at your screen, but I don't see anything moving.
Oh, that's so sad. I'm really sorry about that. What do you see now?
I see the original slide. It's a picture.
All right, I'm going to escape out of this. Yeah. GoToMeeting is showing this application. Says it's showing. What do you see now?
Now it's moving.
Now it's moving. Okay. And do you see the sidebar on the side as well?
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it in this mode because I know this works. So I apologize. You're going to be able to get a sneak preview on what's coming ahead. So let me just go back a sec. Here's the table of contents. Now you can see it. Boy, thank you for whomever interjected. That was really helpful. Where we are now, that's pretty obvious. And step one, define the goal statement. And then the items that fit inside that goal statement, what's included and why is it of strategic importance. It can be just a couple of sentences. It doesn't have to be really long. The second step is to define the current condition. So what's the environment in which the organization is experiencing this particular strategic goal area? It's pretty obvious what the financial group is going to write here. It's pretty obvious what the place group, the facilities, would write here in terms of what the current condition is. It may be more challenging for the whole Earth group to describe what the current condition is, but you can describe what the camp is already doing that's pretty impressive with the garden, and it's linked to Judaism. And so I'm just looking for a couple of paragraphs here. Think of yourself as writing to a future board member who's picking up the strategic plan in the middle of implementing it and trying to understand what we were thinking at the time we were writing it, so they could understand where we've come from. That's the lens I want you to think about. And then right from what the current condition is an opportunity to really nail in a sentence what's the problem that needs to be addressed, right? Given the current condition, what's the problem that needs to be addressed? Because obviously if there's no problem, if we're doing a lovely job, then it's not very compelling as a strategic goal. And so, for example, for whole Earth, the problem here might be that children are being raised in a world where our environment is increasingly important and on their minds. I'm making this up, but you would have to figure this out for yourself as a small group. Step 3, now that you've defined the current condition and the problem statement, is to talk about the opportunity. So what is the strategic opportunity? Why are we focusing on this? And in specific, as you're writing, you're describing about what's the opportunity at the time, why is it important, and what might be the expected outcome if we focus on this area. So, the finance team, if we really focus on the financial footings of this organization and really help to better understand where our operational profit and so forth really sit inside the organization, we have an opportunity to help the organization thrive and actually expand its network of offerings. And that would be, and so we expect that if we really focus on this as our financials, that we'll see Shalom Institute being on stronger financial footing and able actually to expand its offerings. That might be an expected outcome. Think of the group that's working on, I'll go back to the Just Do It. The opportunity here is to work with unengaged families as well as deeply engaged families and strengthen the fabric of the Jewish community and fill the void that JCC has left behind when they left the area. And so the expected outcome might be we touch the lives of even more families in Southern California. So the core pieces of the narrative that your small group is going to be working on and sending to me is to define your strategic goal area, number 1. 2, to define the current condition at the organization. And 3, to define what the opportunity is ahead. And about a page of text. I'm not looking for a full essay here. The next step for your small group is to start to fill in a table of action steps. So if the narrative is the what and the why we're focusing on these areas, this table of action items is your, okay, so how are we doing this? When are we doing this? Who's doing this? This is where we're answering those questions. I want you to think about these action items as being targeted to the board. So you're writing these action items to be read by the board, to be monitored by the board, to be paid attention to by the board. This is not a management plan. This is not telling Bill, the camp staff, first you do this and then you do that. You're telling the board what are the things the board needs to be paying attention to make sure we're making progress in these areas. And they should be smart. By smart, I mean they're specific and measurable, obtainable, time-bound. And the key thing here is that I want to make sure that sorry, I'm moving the wrong direction. I want to make sure that we are, as a small group, that your small group is thinking about those action steps in a sequential order. What are those things that we'd have to do first? Move them up. Should they take place in 2016? Should they take place in 2017? What are the things that that need additional resources of people, of financial, of money, and then who takes the lead on them? Is it staff Is it staff driven? Is it volunteer driven? I made up something here for program, right? So present to the board for discussion the scope of year-round program options. So if we want to expand the work that we do in communities during the year off camp, this is Camp Without Borders, give the board some ideas generated from the staff of things that could be implemented. And then by a certain amount of time, narrow down to the two best ideas, and then present the board with a specific implementation plan with the projected budgets. And then by 2018, let's implement 2 new initiatives. And by 2019, let's evaluate how they worked in the community. So when your small group sits down to brainstorm ideas, or brainstorm action items, remember that you're writing the action items from the point of view of what's the board need to pay attention to, not what does management need to do. The second thing is timing. Make sure you try to order those things sequentially. And the third thing is to be clear about where resources needed. Because if we need to hire additional staff, or it requires additional financial funding, then we need to come up with a projected budget for the strategic plan and identify, is that going to be fundraised? Is it going to come out of operations? Is it going to sustain itself through fees? These are things we're going to need to identify in order to implement. And then the last is, who takes the lead? Is it volunteer or is it staff driven? That's incredibly helpful to know. A lot of organizations in this process will realize that they're understaffed to fully implement their dreams of the strategic plan, and then they come up with adjustments to staff roles and responsibilities and build in new positions in order to make the strategic plan really stick. So that's my core instructions to the small groups. I wanted to stop here and see if there's any questions to my small groups, and then I'm going to talk about additional components of the writing, which I think Adam will be particularly interested in. Any questions before I move on? All right. So Adam, you and the poetry committee, an updated mission statement, if you please, and the new mission statement. The mission statement being defining the current purpose and function of the organization, why we exist, who we serve. A vision statement is that future focused, inspirational. We might never actually reach it. Like, food pantry's vision might be a world without hunger. They might never actually reach a world without hunger, but that's their vision of that they're working towards, and a place where people are treated with dignity and respect. That might be their vision statement. Our vision statement helps to really clarify the direction we're heading in, that future focus, where our intent as for why we're doing this work. And then we, in our first meeting, spend a lot of time talking about the sort of core values brand proposition. What is it that people should experience through their contact with the Shalom Institute? And it actually would be helpful to write those down so that we can build in evaluation. Are we, in fact, creating the experiences we intended through this strategic plan? So we had talked about that when we met in person, that we would like to start to draft that sense of core values. I found this old image from the last strategic plan of the Shalom Institute's mission vision statement in a picture. I thought it was cute that I had it in my computer, so I threw it up here on a slide. But it's actually interesting, there still remains for the Shalom Institute this multi-component understanding of our work, be above and beyond JCamp Shalom, Camp JCA Shalom. We've got the year-round programming. Now we've got the day camp. We've got initiatives working with a range of ages, family retreats, women's retreats, mother retreats, those kinds of programming efforts, all intended to strengthen overall our Jewish community. So, with that in mind, we need to update and tweak this. The conference center is not as central as it was when this was developed. And then, Bill, I should probably work with you on these other components that are going to be incorporated into the strategic plan, but Bill, feel free to pull on anyone else to help us as well. We're going to need sort of a quick overview of the organizational history, how long we've existed, how we landed on this beautiful site, when we reached our independence, how we've evolved since then, and specifically how we have evolved since the last strategic plan. And then a quick statement motivating what's the motivation and the timing of this plan, and a list of people who've contributed. And I would be really honored to see, my thought here is that we have a list of the committee members of the Strategic Planning Committee, the list of the board members who've been giving input all along, the list of anyone who attended any of the Jeffersonian dinners or was contacted as sort of an advisor to a small group. So we have a long list of people to thank for their contributions. And I think that, Bill, I think you could pretty quickly turn that out. It's really not much more than a page or two of writing. And then at the very end, we'll write the executive summary. That's like a one-page visual snapshot of the key points that are embedded throughout the plan so that you can have a quick look at what's inside. So in sort of review, the tasks at hand here, as I said at the beginning, please, if small groups could send me your draft narratives by the end of the month, then I can read it and quickly get you back questions or comments so that you have a chance to revise it. The absolute deadline that I need drafts is by September 10th. Then I will take that, incorporate it, finesse it, massage it, send it all back out to you in advance of our face-to-face meeting on September 20th. And then a small group of us are going to work on refinements based on our face-to-face work together to get a draft to the board by the 30th. And here are our sort of assignments, as I think I understand them, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I've assigned Bill to work on the introduction. Adam's working with a group on the poetry committee. Bill is working with others on the Just Jewett small group to pull that together. Alex volunteered to be the point person for Whole Earth. Camp Without Borders has Dennis volunteered to be the point person there. Place, Tracy volunteered to be the point person there. Yoni's away right now, so I imagine that will need to be written or worked on when Yoni gets back. And Gil is the point person for financials. Any questions or comments at this point?
I missed who was the point person for Just Do It.
It's my understanding that Bill is going to be the point person for Just Do It for right now. But that's.
I will take it right now.
Bill, did I get that wrong? Is there somebody else who's the point person there?
I think it's Jody. Is it you and Yael, or one of you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to be the point person. I think Yael would be happy to do it too.
Okay.
That's great.
I'm correcting it right as we speak, Jody.
I just wanted to make sure because one of our members is moving.
If there are no other questions, I want you to know that you're free to contact me. You can really just pick up the phone and call me, as long as you remember there's a 3-hour time difference. I welcome you to call, especially if your small group is meeting or you're working by email and you're feeling pretty stuck. You can also CC me on your small group's emails if you think that'd be helpful. My goal here is to help you all feel successful in the process of writing and not have that college dread of having to write a final report. And I really appreciate your jumping on this call. And I look forward to working together on the on our face-to-face meeting on the 20th. Gil, before you have to, I know I rushed a bit because I knew you had to leave at the half hour. Do you want to chime in before you have to leave?
No, I just want to continue to thank everybody for their participation, and I look forward to the final documents. Thank you, Julia.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording and let you go back to lunch.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.